another Gettin Real with Ashleydawn. My mom was calling me Olivia this morning. I'm going to Greece. Woo-hoo-hoo! And I was telling her I kind of look more like Cha-Cha Lagoria or Vagoria or whatever because of my hair. But do you like dressing up? I like dressing up. I think it's fun. I think it is fun to kind of play with your clothes and play with your fashion and play with your looks. I think it's great. But I never think that you should dress up to be somebody else because you yourself are not good enough alone. Identity is such a big thing that I know a lot of our youth, a lot of our young girls and young boys are facing constantly, feeling not good enough, feeling like they need to change something about themselves, or they need to pretend to be somebody else, or they need to dress a certain way to be accepted by their peers or to be accepted by their friends. But I want to tell you, you don't have to dress any kind of way to be accepted by God. God loves you. He sees you. He celebrates you. He loves you exactly as you are. Sure, fluff your hair up, put some red lipstick on if you want to, dress up like Grease, but know that that doesn't change who you are. That doesn't, it's an outside, it's a shell. You can change everything you want on the outside, but it's not going to change a thing on the inside. A house, you buy a house, you can paint that house any kind of color you want to, but it's not going to change what's inside that house. You want to have a bigger kitchen, you're going to have to tear a wall down. You want to have a different closet, you're going to have to, install some shelving. Painting it on the outside doesn't change what's inside. And I just want to encourage you with this video. Painting the outside doesn't change the inside. It may make you feel good for a little bit. It may give you a burst of energy. It may give you some oxytocin or serotonin if people are giving you a lot of attention and compliments. And I think a lot of times people go to plastic surgeons and people change things about themselves, not because they really think anything's wrong with themselves, but just because they're not getting attention as the way that they are. So they think, well, if I change this about me, I'll get more attention. If I change my hair, people will notice I cut my hair, I colored my hair. If I change my clothes, people will notice. If I lose weight, people will notice. It's not necessarily you don't like something about yourself. It's you don't like that you're not getting attention from people. So you want to change something about yourself so that you can get the attention that you crave, that you desire, that you want. But the problem is, once you change one thing and it's not new anymore and you get your attention and then people are kind of done with it, you got to keep it up. You're almost like a hamster on a hamster wheel. You got to keep running to keep their attention. You color your hair. Well, after a couple days, they've seen it that color. So you got to color it a different color. And then after they've seen it that color, you don't get attention anymore. So you got to color it a different color. And I'm not picking on anybody. I'm not making fun of anyone. I'm just letting you know you don't have to. You don't have to wear red lipstick to get attention. You don't have to do your hair to get attention. God, you have his full attention at all times. Do you know that? You have God's full attention at all times. Just as you are, with stank breath in the morning, with bedhead, wearing dirty clothes with holes in them, you have God's full attention. You don't have to change anything about yourself to have his attention. You don't have to cut your hair, curl your hair, color your hair, change your outfit, lose weight, gain weight, build muscle. You don't have to do any of that to have God's attention. You have God's attention at all times, just as you are. If you want to cut your hair, cut it. Ask your parents for permission if you're a child. But you can change things about the outside of you, but just understand that it's not going to change the inside of you. Like I said, for a second you might get excited. For a second you might, like it. You might get the attention you want. But in the long run, it's not going to change the inside. You want to change the inside of a house, you got to demolish it. You got to, bring in a construction crew or do it yourself if you're my mom. But you got to change things from the inside if you want the inside changed. The outside is just a shell. You can change your outside all day long. Do you know how many times I change my outfits on a daily basis? A lot. My mom's laughing. Do you know how many times I change my hair? A lot. I don't color it and I don't cut it, but I like to do different hairstyles. I wear wigs sometimes. It doesn't change me on the inside. I could even put, a different accent on. I do these little accents with my kids in class, and this past week I was Italian, and I, would give them their lunches, and I'm like, eat your food, it's very good. You have a pasta and a meatball, it's very good. Manja. And they laughed and they thought it was hilarious and it was funny. And that's great, but it didn't change who I am. It was a voice. It was an impersonation. It didn't change who I am. I can change my hair. It's not going to change who I am. I could wear no makeup, put my hair in a bun, wear a pair of sweatpants. It doesn't change who I am. It doesn't. It's the outside. So if you're spending all your money and all your time going to plastic surgeons, doing this, doing that, going to the gym. Listen, I'm not knocking the gym. I work out too. But just know that you can work all day long on the outside, but it's not going to change the inside. To change the inside, you got to change the inside. You want a car to run? You got to take it to the mechanic, unless you're a mechanic yourself. You got to change the oil. You got to put gas in it. You got to put air in the tires. You got to take care of it. You want to change the inside of your soul, you have to take care of it. You have to do the work. Painting a pretty face on the outside is not going to do anything. You might convince a couple people that you're happy, but the people that know you the most will know that it's fake. You might make a few people think that, you changed, but it's just the outside. To have a true lasting change on the inside, for one, you got to do the work and you got to get a hold of Jesus. Because listen, I've seen a lot of people try a lot of things on their own and fail. But I've seen a lot of broken, messed up, jacked up people turn to Jesus, and Jesus truly helped them completely rebuild their soul and rebuild their heart and rebuild their spirit. Adding Jesus to the equation changes a lot. It changes a whole lot. If you're struggling today and maybe you don't like yourself, maybe you do like yourself, but you struggle that other people don't like you, can I just tell you to stop living your life for the approval of people? Because you might have their approval today, but what about tomorrow? What about a year from now? What about a week from now? What about if they change their opinion? What about then? Then what are you going to do? I had a friend say that she didn't want to be friends with me anymore. Well, guess what? The other night she said she's rethinking her opinion and she might like to have lunch with me. She might like to talk things out. And I'm not saying that to be like, ha, I win. I'm saying that people change their minds. People make knee-jerk reactions in a moment of anger or in a moment of hurt and frustration. And then when they calm down from that moment, when they get away from that moment, they realize, I might not should have done that. Maybe I need to give him another chance. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to change your opinion. But don't let your identity be fixed on somebody else's mind or somebody else's opinion of you. Your identity should be fixed and rooted and grounded in Jesus and what he thinks about you. Because what he thinks about you will never change. He will always see you as beloved and loved. Even when you're running away from him, he still sees you the same. He still sees you exactly the same, regardless if you're following him or you're running away from him. He still looks at you with love. And that's something we don't understand and we can't comprehend, and it frustrates us because we're like, how can God look at us with love when we're doing wrong, when we're doing something we shouldn't be doing? My kids, my preschool kids, they tell me all the time, well, I tell them all the time, I still love you. I still love you when you make a bad choice. I still love you when you don't listen to me. I still love you when you go to timeout. And they have heard it so many times that now they go to timeout and they look at me and I'm smiling at them when they're in timeout. They know it's a consequence. They did something wrong. They're going to, have a consequence for it. If they do something right, they'll get a reward. But they look at me and they're sad and I'm smiling at them and they say, Miss Ashleydawn, you still love me and God still loves me, even though I made a bad choice and I'm in timeout. And I say, yes, you're right. I do still love you and God still loves you. You're going to have your consequence and then we're going to turn our day around and we're going to have a better day. I don't ever want my preschoolers to think that I'm looking at them without love in my eyes. That was why, during all of this COVID stuff, I refused to wear a mask because I never want my kids to see just my eyes and not be able to see me smiling back at them. I want you to know that if you're only seeing God's eyes and you're thinking that he's judging you all the time, God's eyes are looking at you, but he's also smiling when he looks at you. He's also, that's my child, regardless of what they do. I just want to let you know, if you're spending all your time, spinning all your wheels, trying to change who you are, trying to change the way you look, trying to change the things you have, you're wasting your time. You don't have to change anything for God. The only thing he wants is an open heart. He wants you to open your heart towards him and let him love you. So my question for you today, will you let God love you? Will you let God smile at you? Regardless of what you're doing, regardless of where you've been, will you let God love you? I hope you will. I love you. More importantly, God loves you way more. You are seen, celebrated, and loved, and I will catch you in my next one.